What's going on, everybody? This is Jerome Moore, host and creator of Deep Dish Conversations. And firstly, I want to say thank you for all love and support, and thank you for exploring the perspectives of social change with me on this platform. I want to encourage you all to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube and on your favorite podcast listen platform. And make sure you give us a 5-star rating if you're loving the Deep Dish Conversations. I appreciate all of the support again. I hope you all enjoy this episode. Joseph, how's it going? Welcome to the platform.
Good day. Thanks for having me.
Good day. You know, that's what they say. Good day.
Yes, sir.
It's a good day when you vote for day. Is that the slogan?
Yep, day all the way.
Day all the way. Well, man, it's a pleasure to have you on here. You are running for a circuit court clerk here for Davidson County. I'm excited to talk about that and excited to, learn some things about what happens in circuit court clerk and what doesn't happen.
Yes.
In circuit court. Before we get into that, though, just tell the people a little bit about yourself. I know we talked a little bit out off the camera, White Creek, Cobra,
Once a Cobra, always a Cobra.
Once a Cobra, my family a Cobra, so, I guess I like y'all a little bit. And just growing up in the Bordeaux area or Bordeaux area,
right. However you want
to pronounce it.
Bordeaux.
Right, exactly.
So, Joseph P. Day. Born and raised, Nashville native. Grew up in Bordeaux, County Hospital roadside, Broward Drive.
I'm Baptist, baby.
Hey. Went to White Creek High School, and that's just the area that I grew up in. And my journey to now started, when I went to Tennessee State University. As a freshman, I ended up getting a summer internship there, and got a job there, summer job. And previous to that, I didn't know much about the courts system, and Traffic Violations Bureau, Traffic Warrant Division is where I started. And it's ironic starting there because, rewind, when I was 16, I got my first ticket on Bradley Parkway, and my mom would call down to the clerk's office and say, we got a ticket. I was like, Mom, you're 16, you got your first ticket. I was like, we need to pay this ticket, and they never had the ticket. And so, we don't have a ticket. We'll try back 2 weeks later. We don't have the ticket. And then we got a letter a little bit after that. It was a state citation. And, I had to pay like $250 or something, and tell me that they might try to suspend my license if I don't get this paid. And it was confusing to me because I thought I did everything that I was supposed to do, trying to, be a responsible citizen and call. And so years later, fast forward, like I said, I was a freshman in college, and I started working in the office. And I was like, man, this is where I got that ticket, And so once, I got there, I got to see kind of what goes on in the office, and I got an understanding of, a metro citation ticket versus a state citation.
Right.
A metro officer can give you a citation, and depends on what you were doing, it elevates to a state level citation. And so that's how I got caught up in that. But, just starting there, like I said, that started my journey in the clerk's office in the Traffic Violations Bureau, Traffic Warrant Division. So that started my journey. But just a little bit about me, back to it. Like I said, Nashville, married, 2 kids. They attend Metro Nashville Public Schools, attend Richland Creek Church of Christ, and serve there as well. Member of Alpha Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, and just been grinding, for the city. And to get to this point in my career, to start at the bottom of this organization and now be in a position to run for office, something that I always dream about. When you're young and you have big dreams, you know. I always tell you to set your goals. You can't look too far, but, when I started out here, it's just like I saw what was going on there and see how people needed help. And I just have a knack for public service. And I worked there for 4 summers. And when I graduated college, I was offered a full-time job. And I was excited about that. That was 2001.
And you've been there ever since?
Ever since.
That's what, 20-something?
Yeah, it's 20. That's why I say 20-plus years, because the summertime from 97 to 01, I've been around.
Right.
But I don't get that on my time of service for my pension or anything like that.
Right.
So 4 years, but I've been around since 97, but I've been full-time since 01. So 21 years officially, but I've been around about 25 years.
Wow. So, yeah, that's kind of hard to stack up against,
Well, I mean, it's
If you're another candidate.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's why I would talk about a little bit about, everybody asks me what's my platform and things like that, experience, and you come out with experience, and then that kind of gets regurgitated. Everybody says, well, I have experience.
Right.
Well, we all have experience, but I mean relevant experience. I've been on the front lines,
Right.
helping people, seeing people in need, and we're limited in that scope, though, as a clerk. But I mean, you see it. You see the everyday people.
Right.
I've seen it all. So, and that's been my goal, to kind of develop solutions to kind of help people. Because my ear is always open. Because you have a conversation, and what I found out is people just want you to listen.
Right.
Because you come down to the courthouse, whether you're paying a ticket, whether you having going through a divorce or dealing with family issues, probating a will, just all those type things.
Right.
You don't want to come down there. You're upset already.
Right.
And you come down there and you're trying to get something off your chest, and I cut you off because I've heard your story 25 times.
Right.
No, I'm gonna listen and let you finish.
Right.
Just that understanding, and people come there in a bad disposition, but they leave in a better disposition,
right,
because they get that better service.
Right.
So
let's talk about that, because I don't think many people, like general public, have to come in contact with the circuit county clerk,
circuit court clerk.
So what is that experience like? Like, why would I for some reason have to come see you or talk to you, or any of those things? What does that first approach look like?
And it goes back to my initial story. I'll tell you about that, and then I'll explain a little bit about it. But like I told you, when I was 16 and got that ticket, you say court is a stigma to us. I'm like, oh, what I need to do? Where do I go?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I haven't been down here. Where building is this? You see these big pretty courthouses. What's going on?
Right.
And so you come out there, and I can look in the lobby, and you see people just running around lost, scared to say, well, do I go here? You ask the question, hey, where's this office? Where's that office?
Right.
And that's the thing. So my whole thing is to make this office more transparent, so you can understand and take that stigma away. We're there to serve you. Right. And you come in lost, and it's like, hey, I can't give you legal advice, but you say, hey, I'm here for this. Oh, well, that's over here. Well, let me walk you down the hall and show you where this office is. You just kind of take that away. But so back to the meat of the question.
Right.
So the circuit court clerk, as the elected official role, there are 4 offices under the purview of the clerk. Okay. And I'll talk a little bit about those. First is circuit. That is a court of record. Anything over $25,000, whether it's a lawsuit, med malpractice, a divorce. We also handle adoptions.
Okay.
Anything there. So those are filed there. Child support stuff, orders of protection. If you're married with kids, it comes through circuit.
Okay.
Then we have probate. So probate is under the clerk as well, dealing with estates, name changes, guardianships, conservatorships. Those are big now for elder care and things like that. Right. Or say if you have kids and you have a will and something happens to you, if you have that guardianship, to look over that and things like that. So that's the probate side of it. Also, general sessions is across the street.
Right.
So general sessions deals with anything under $25,000. Now this is, you have a past due bill, civil warrants, you bought something and somebody didn't give you your goods or services, or whether you have property and you didn't get your rent paid. That's been big in the news today, during the COVID-19, where people can't pay their rent. And you have 2 sides to that story. You have people struggling, trying to pay their rent. And so those are filed, those are called detainer warrants.
Okay.
And so you would file a detainer warrant with the clerk's office, and then it would be served by the sheriff's department.
Okay.
And then they say, hey, you have so many days to get out, And if not, the sheriff's department will come put your stuff out. Right. So those are filed over there. But past due bills, whether it's a past due credit card, cable bill, Xfinity, whatever, those things are filed. Anything under $25,000. So general sessions is the first experience a lot of times that people come into contact with the court.
Right.
You also come, what I tell people too, if you do have a past due judgment or, get a garnishment or something on you, you can come to our office and file a slow pay.
Okay.
So you say, well, man, they're taking 25% of my check.
Right.
I can't afford that. I have to pay bills. I got to live.
Right.
So you come to our office, pay your $25 and file a slow pay. Say, well, I can pay you $25 a month or $40 a month.
Okay.
Whether you're taking $250 out of my check.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Also, orders of protection over there, whether it's somebody, stalking you, a friend, or, boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right.
They handled over there versus in circuit, whether if you're married with kids.
Okay.
State distress warrants. I mean, all those things are filed there. And then we have traffic, which is also under general session. So traffic tickets, parking tickets, environmental citations, misdemeanor citations, whether you have your lawn needs to be cut and codes,
Right.
you got a broke down car,
Right.
all those things, health department, all those things are filed in the clerk's office. Now, in saying that, it's a very diverse role because 19 judges. Now, we say circuit, there are 8 circuit judges. Now, one of those are a probate judge, so that's on that side. And then, but on general session side,
11, right?
11 of them. And so, and that's what's going on now with the elections. There's 11 different divisions,
Right.
and they're running,
Right.
And judges are elected every 8 years, where the clerks are every 4 years. Now, the circuit deals with everything civil
Okay.
in nature, and it's kind of broken down like that. So with this, it's civil, and then you have criminal,
Right.
you have juvenile,
Right.
and so that's how that's broken up there. So
Man.
that's I mean, it's a lot, but as far as the role of the clerk,
Right.
have to understand what that is to keep, basically it's the custodian and keeper of the record.
Okay.
So you can come in and say, hey, this happened in 1982. I had somebody hit us the other day. My grandfather had something down there, and they call, we got to go to archives to find this record. They're trying to do a documentary or something. This
Right.
was 1935. We
Right.
had, just something like that. And it's like, wow, we got to go back and try to find that. And we're the keeper of the record. So that's been the thing as my role as I've transitioned, 20 plus years in this organization. As I told you, it's 4 different offices, but I
Right.
started in the traffic warrant division. And that's where I started my journey with a 5-year plan that's turned into 20 plus. So
And now you're the Chief Deputy of Public Relations and Employee Development, right?
Yes.
So how does that kind of go? How does that help you transition
yeah, okay.
into this possible new role?
All right. So as I said, my 5-year plan started there, and once I decided to stay in the public sector, I always say I had to go back and, opportunity cost. So, am I going to stay here? I got married. I'm just like, my family, I'm going to stay in this public sector. This is what I want to do. So I went back to sharpen my saw. So I went to Cumberland and got my master's in public service management. Then I continued to grind, sharpen that saw, University of Tennessee, certified public administrator designation, and just continuing education. But along this journey, I stayed there because of the passion, but I also got a little movement. You have goals, as I told you. So I became training coordinator, and I was like, man, what we gonna do?
Right.
I got a child now, am I gonna stay here and this, that? Then I became business manager, and so you just grinding, doing the work, coming up with creative ideas, and then I've had opportunities to leave, and it's just like, you weigh your option. I was like, no, this is what I do.
Right.
And then I was offered the chief deputy role in 2016.
Okay.
And that was very instrumental to learn the inner workings, because it's a difference working at the front lines of the counter, dealing with the everyday, and dealing with middle management, and now I get a seat at this table here,
Right.
where I can learn about the inner workings. We can look at it, like I said, employee development versus one office that I've been in, and then learn the other offices.
Right.
But now we have 4 offices with about 100 employees. And so every office is different, but the main goal is to serve the public.
Right.
Because we're public service. And that has prepared me for this next step as far as talking about the budgets,
Right.
You come across and, people always have, well, the mayor may come and say, we have a budget cut. I need you to cut 5%. Well, you're like, whoa.
Right.
These conversations of 5%, and you're looking like, what are we going to do?
Right. And I think that's important. So how instrumental is having a proper budget for the circuit court clerk? office?
It's very important, and then that's
And if
what
we
people,
don't have that budget,
yeah. Well,
what are
see,
some of the repercussions?
the people that utilize the office kind of facilitate that, and you come in and pay your fines, tickets, or whatever it may be. They're filing fees.
Right.
It's a state tax. It's a county tax.
Right.
It's a clerk fee. See, when you pay for stuff like that, some of that goes to funds. So it's kind of self-sufficient in one conversation that, you utilize our services. I mean, you should pay for those.
Right.
And we use that to improve those services. And actually, if a lot of things are filed, we look at that and we have to turn money back over to Metro. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and just the different divisions.
Right.
So, yeah, that's what we do. When you look at it, and that's been my goal, to think outside the box. Why is this way?
Right.
And then what I had to learn and understand is that the clerk's office is governed by statutes.
Okay.
And ordinances. I can't just come in here and say, the big conversation sounds good that, we're gonna lower fines, we're gonna do this. I can't go in there and lower. I'll go to jail.
Right.
I can't go in there because they're gonna say, hey, you're not collecting our money.
Well, that's a good pivot, I think, because people are always talking about policy and statutes and who has the power to change these things, especially when it comes to just courts in general. Because judges don't make laws; they just follow statute. Probate judge don't. They just he or she are following the statute. This is what we can do. This is what we can't do. So, what role could you play in if you're seeing like, hey, people can't afford these particular filing fees, or maybe like how can we make this more cost effective for the community? What role could you play in that, or do you have a voice at that particular table, or is it going to the state legislature? How does that?
It's the state legislative level.
Okay.
Like I said, the statutes, Tennessee Code annotated,
Right.
156.25. They pass these bills on the Hill.
Yeah.
So when you talk about those things, it's like, oh well, they pass them and we got to look every year. Oh, what's passed on the Hill?
Right.
Oh, state tax is gone up. Well, guess what? State tax goes to fund other stuff.
Right.
And since I've been there, state tax has been $12.75, $13.75, and then we had $2, $15.75. So that price changes, but then they take a portion of that, to fund something else, or county tax.
Right.
And then fines go to Metro. I mean, it's broken down like that. But just to say I'm gonna go in here and wipe this cost out,
Right.
That's not the role of the clerk. Now, when you think about the services that we provide, and if some legislation comes and they say, well, we want this, they may reach out, hey, how's that? Like, hey, hold on, this is going to affect,
Right.
the offices, and then just like now with the Traffic Violations Bureau, I don't know, you drove around the city lately, people driving around crazy.
Right.
Ticket writing, it went down with the COVID. I mean, just look at the trajectory of tickets. When I first started, not first started, but around 03, 04, man, they were writing all kind of tickets. They were pulling people over, finding different things, so the tickets were up. And now it's like ticket revenue is down,
Right.
especially with all the other stuff going on. But it went down, but that was one of the things that, talking about the roles and thinking outside the box, in 03, 04, they were writing tickets, you would see them, and we had court on almost every hour, 8 o'clock docket, 9 o'clock docket, 10 o'clock docket. And then it got so bad that the fire marshal came and said, there's too many people in here.
Right.
And I'm thinking, like, people lined up outside. I know it's me. I got to take off work. I got to come down here and wait all day.
Right.
So I'm thinking, what's going to happen? Now, we're a small city, which we've grown exponentially, but it made me say, what does these larger cities do? What does New York do?
Right.
What does Florida do? They have a bigger population. So when you get a ticket, you have a right to come to court. So what actually happens when you get a ticket? Well, you look at the court, you're going to come in, you're either going to plead guilty, they're going to give you traffic school, you're going to have a trial.
Right.
And so I kind of looked at some different models. That was one of the things that I did research on, kind of using that education background. It's like, how can we make this better?
Right.
And we finally got that implemented to where you get a ticket now, instead of you automatically getting a court date, well, you don't need a court date if you're pleading not guilty.
Right.
So you got 3 options. You pay the ticket. That's basically saying you're guilty, you're going to pay the ticket. If you want a court date, you want to plead not guilty, you can submit that. Or you can request traffic school. You have 45 days to do that. And that kind of cleaned up the backlog and all these people just standing, waiting all day. Just kind of things like that. So I don't know if I got off topic about your legislative or whatever, but I mean, it's just out of the purview of the clerk. You know, you have to stay in your lane. You know, I can't champion and say, hey, we need to lower our fines up there, you know. But that's done at that, you know, the state level.
And so, because I'm learning
Metro ordinance level. So Metro council and things, they can, you know, Metro ordinances. So
okay. But still, they kind of put you in a I think a still powerful position though, because if you're saying, or if you're seeing that it is becoming somewhat of a economic burden to community, then you can say, hey, well, you know, what can we do to remedy this? From what I'm understanding, when it comes to filing particular things, because we know that if something is too much to bear for people's pockets, maybe they won't even, like, I ain't got the money to file anything right now. Is there, what are resources that, like, I guess
you gotta be creative. So my thing is, as a citizen, you know, this information that we have, so you think about, well, instead of charging you for, let's use this and make access, because it's public record.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? How can we make this available and make your life easier?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's some of the creative ways that, you know, you can do that. And then as far as fees, you know, you can, when people come in and don't have the money, they can come in and file paperwork. And you put down and, you know, go before the judge and say, hey, I can't afford to pay this.
Right.
Or I owe an appeal. You know, he's like, well, appeal going to cost you some money to go from appeal from general sessions to circuit.
Right.
You can come in and do a pauper's oath.
Okay.
And file that out, and they ask how much you make and this and that, and the judge can grant that type thing. But that's what I'm saying. The role of the clerk is to facilitate that, to schedule the dockets, working with the 19 judges, you know. And just about that, as far as taking that to the community and things like that, like you saying, you're getting educated now. Since 2016, you know, that's been my goal, to bridge the gap with technology, to make the office more transparent. It's kind of like, I was having a conversation the other day, if you never had a root canal, you don't know much about what's going on with a root canal. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And so when you look at the population of what we serve and what we do, for the number of people in Nashville and how many people we served, you know, it's about 2 to 3%, you know, 4% of the population, looking at that number. But my goal is to, like I said, make it more transparent, make it to where, you know, well, I come down here for the clerk's office and the civil. And as I've been on the trail, that's what I find, that people, sometimes they don't understand what's going on. But when they do come down there, it's there for them. And as far as championing that to the community, it's only so much you can do. Now, as a clerk, I can't go out here and say, I'm taking this to the community. I'm going to take it to the community. What are we taking to the community? We make access for them community in there and let them know, yes, but that's been my message, to spread what the office does. But I mean, when you take it to the community, now the judge, I serve the public and I serve the judge. So as the keeper of the record, now the judge can say, just for example, I'm not endorsing or saying anything, but Rachel Bell has a community court. You know, and she'll call us, hey, we're having a community court. We need a clerk out there. We need our records out there. You know, how can we facilitate this? Because we're dealing here with a budget, but, you know, let's get the records out there. Let's get somebody out there. But I can't say, I'm taking the circuit court to the community, and then who's going to be there? I can't make a judge come. You see what I'm saying? I can't tell the judge, I need you to come here. The judge can say, hey, I need these records. This is what we're doing. So it's just like a relationship, you know. But I can't champion that and put that out there and lead that charge just by statute. I mean, that's not in the thing now. It's not in this. And then that's my thing. And I know we go back and forth. I know you've seen some of the forums where we get to talk about that. I have, you know, nothing against the other candidates. They do great work in the community. But to put that narrative out there that we're taking to community, you don't, and telling about that people don't know what the role of the clerk is. I mean, people don't know what the office does. Well, apparently they don't either. You know, it's a specific role. And not to say that what you're doing is great, but this is not the vehicle for that. This is not the medium for that. You know, whether, like you're saying, you're going to change some fines and things, that's done. Run for Senate. Those are things that you can do there. Or stuff in the community, or, you're talking about helping people get back in the workforce, and that's criminal court clerk that you can kind of reform on that side. This is all, civil in nature and things that we do.
But I'm glad you cleared that up, because I think too, because it has court in the name, people automatically associate that with something to where like criminal court or general sessions, or something where, even though I know that it does include general sessions, but something that when we think about just our criminal justice system or legal system, and so I think people just group it together like, oh well, you got some power, you can change. Can I come to you about money bill or cash bill or any of that?
None of that.
But if I'm looking for a specific record, then I need to come.
You come and say, hey, I got served with this paper for somebody's suing me or garnishing me. What do I do? Well, come in. And that's been the thing with my latest project was e-filing. My thing is with the court system, as I started, like I told you, when I was since 97, I started in there. That's when Yahoo, Google, being all this technology, and I'm a college student. So I'm like, man, I got this summer job, internship. I'm thinking I'm going to be blown away because it's the government. What I found out, no, the government's a little bit behind. The private sector is really pushing it, and the government is behind. And so I thought I was going to see all this stuff. They come in here, we're collecting parking tickets. You're writing parking cards. And I've done all of that. I've issued parking warrants. I've actually went out to the field serving garnishments and parking warrants. Working the counter, all those things. I've been out in the field, Yeah,
you've been in the field.
Yes. And then it's like we used to go out and serve paperwork, and now the sheriff's department does paperwork, and then it's like, well, why are we going out and serving documents when the sheriff's department can do that? Let's save costs, metro vehicles, cut costs. It's just been a lot as a transition from budget cuts and things like that. How can we look and, utilize that? So it's like I've been in so many meetings, we need to do more with less. You know what I'm saying? You go tell the employees there's no raise this year, because raises, whatever the budget is in the government, they pass it. I can't go in there and just, I'm going to give you, you did a great job, I'm going to give you, 30% raise or something like that. You got to be across the board. 3% cost of living raise, stuff like that. So certain aspects that you can control, but everything is like, even when I became chief deputy, that put me there to, interview some people. Oh, we need an accountant for our department. We had somebody leave. And I'm like, ooh, well, can we go to TSU? Can I go find somebody that's about to graduate? Come here? Because I started when I was in college. So let me use some contacts and resources and take this back to the community. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm the first person of color as training coordinator, as business manager in this organization.
Wow.
And I became chief deputy. And so I've been instrumental in that, trying to do that, trying to go out to the community and find that. So it's just, one of those things that I've been there, I put in the work. I didn't take the elevator. I've been climbing the stairs.
Yeah, you was in shape. You said you in shape when you take them stairs.
Yeah, and you take the stairs, it's just like you look up and it's just like, why not me? I'm trying to shake the jar, And finally, like I said, 2016, that kind of opened up the opportunity for me to learn a little bit more about the backside of it and what goes on versus working the front lines, but to look at the whole picture. I've been that summer employee or starting at the bottom with a great idea. You probably experienced yourself, you have a great idea that never make it to the people in control, and in upper management. And now I'm in a position to where I've been the person, I know what it's like. And so it's always open for feedback. We have to the point where submit a request or a recommendation. Let's look at it. It's been to the point where you may start in the organization and say, well, train me. People kind of possessive of their roles. When I first started here, it's like if you were data entry, that's all you done was data entry. If you were a cashier, that's all you did with cashier. If you was a court clerk, if you went in there, that's all you did. But now it's just like, so we need a cross train. A diverse workforce. You got some people that's been there 30 years. When I first started, I was the youngest. And now that's not the case anymore. But we have people that have been there for 30 years. We have people that, been there 10 years, and then people just starting. And you say, well, train me this. Well, this is how I do it. And, I've been instrumental in drafting down procedures. Like, where's the manual?
Right.
You know, so you should be able to take this procedure and learn this, you know. And then that's one of the things too with technology, like with e-filing and some of the misnomers that it's just for lawyers, just for attorneys. No, that's not the case. This system, you know, we did a PIP project, you know, it's kind of like Know Your History, you know, that we started this and with the mayor's office to, instead of having 4 different systems, if you practice in circuit, general sessions or whatnot, and then you also do criminal law or probate law, so you're going to have a system for that, you're going to have a system for this. Let's, for the city, let's make one system like a portal.
Right.
You know, if you're an attorney, if you practice on this side, well, you have the same account, but you click a button and it takes you to the other side.
Right.
But it's the same system.
Right.
You got one login that gives you access to those. And the system is free.
Right.
You know, so when you say things like make it for the average person to come in, where it's free. Those records are free. You can look on our e-filing system. If you're a pro se, and see a lot of these terms that, you know, people don't understand. You say a term and, oh, a pro se.
Right.
Well, you know, pro se is someone without representation is coming down there without attorney representation. They come in there, they can request an account as well and see stuff. And then it's always, well, make access to the public. Well, we have a system called CaseLink. Well, CaseLink costs $25 a month. Now, with that $25 a month, it's not like we're making money on that. Goes for the servers and all this stuff. But if you come down to our office, you're going to pay to park, you're going to come in there, and you're going to say, I want to get a copy of this record. You got a copy cost.
Right.
You know, stamp, you want this certified, it's going to cost you. Well, with the CaseLink, you come in, you pay $25, you sitting here in your office, you have PDFs of all the images and documents, all you need. You see what I'm saying? And that information is there for e-filing is free, but the people who utilize that, as taxpayer, the people who utilize that should pay for those services.
Right.
Whether it's companies or, you know, real estate companies want to know what's been filed, or, you know, those people pay the burden to use that access. But for free access, it's there as well.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just a misnomer there that it's not for everybody. It is for everybody.
And so far as, because I know you talked a little bit about transparency. So for a person like myself or anybody else who may be, you know, first time trying to find something and maybe don't know about the e-filing system, like what are ways or creative ways when I come down there I can kind of know what I'm looking for, or be directed like, hey, like you need to use this e-filing system, or you need to pay this $25 a month? Or is that kind of being transparent, or is that being communicated to community in the most efficient way at the moment?
Yeah, I mean that's been my goal to do that, because I've been a part of it. As far as CaseLink or whatever, our training room is down there. I have people come and say, well, how can I do this? How can I find this?
Right.
Come on down here. I'll give you hands-on training. We got a training room down here.
Okay.
Let me show you how to do this.
Okay.
Oh, you come to our office and say, oh, well, what about this? How can I get this? Well, I can get this to you, but let me show you how to do this. Let me help you create. Let me take your hand. And what I thought about, you know, I can bring you this big manual.
Right.
People don't like to read.
Right.
But we document the process.
Right.
And it came to me, it's like, we have all this great technology. Why don't we make videos?
Yeah.
Okay? And so when I conducted the trainings for that, when we were going to launch, because, see, people don't like change. It's like, we're going to e-filing. Oh, so you have people that, you know, we want things to get better, but we want them to stay the same. But change is constant.
Right.
And so my thing is, how can I train people and do these type of things? So we had trainings and we had Zooms, we had in person, you know, COVID hit and things like that. But I was like, let's make videos.
Right.
Let's do this.
Speaking of COVID, how did COVID kind of help y'all shift, and kind of what are some more shifts that you feel like you can possibly make, being that like people couldn't come in person, people had to start utilizing technology. And you know, I've had plenty of judges and people here part of just the court system, and they realized like it was a lot of things that was being done in our judicial system just wasn't efficient, and COVID helped bring some of those things out and pivot to something different that is more efficient that we can start using going forward. Did you see that as well?
Yeah, I see that. And now let me tell you that's perfect, because when we went live in 2019, e-filing with circuit and probate, we didn't go live with general sessions. We developed it to a certain point, but as I told you, the offices are totally different. So I was like, well, circuit and probate kind of in the same vein, So let's put general sessions here. Let's focus on these two because it's complex. We went live in those two offices in 2019.
Okay.
Well, launched it, got feedback, continued to shape it and, make changes. And COVID hit. It's like, oof, what we're going to do. And it's always been the thing when I became chief deputy, or even before, I'm like, how can we, because it's always gas is high, this is high. How can we, had a time where we couldn't give employees raises because the budget, got a little downturn in the economy. How can we do this? Well, how can we do a flex schedule? How can we do this type thing? And it's always, well, come up with a plan. Well, how can we make it work? And it's just like, we can't do it. Right. They can't word, that's one that, no, we can. We just got to find creative solutions, to the challenges of change. And that's been one of the things. So make a long story short, that e-filing made it there to where general sessions was not live, circuit and probate was live, where you can file 24/7. And general sessions, you got to come in person, paperwork. Circuit and probate continue to move without a hitch. It's like, well, we need to work from home. Well, we don't have enough laptops, the budget to work from home. It's like, well, why can't we take these desktops? Right. These little bitty desktops, get some monitors, buy a couple laptops, and let's rotate and, kind of work from home and, those things there. And it's like, oh, we can do this. Right. But 2 years before, I was like, hey, I come in and say, you know what, we can work from home if we just take these computers home. We're not doing that. Right. I mean, it's just not logical, but you got to think outside that box. Why not? Right. You're looking at security and we have technology. You can see when people are logged on. Right. You see what I'm saying? You know what's going on. But then here's general sessions when the AOC and the state Supreme Court come in and say, oh, we have to stop. You can't file this. And then that brought the detainer warrant, stuff like that. So we're back with all this paperwork. Right. That's a backlog that we have to get in and catch up. Well, here is circuit and probate. Right. Model still moving. Right. And then that opened up, like you said, technology, Zoom. You can't have a Zoom hearing, Let's do these meetings. Microsoft Teams. Right. You have a meeting, so why can't we do this? And it just becomes, whether it's a conference call or calling in, it's just that model took off. And it's one of those things that now that the employees have adapted and like it to where, I can work from home or I can do an extended flex schedule. Right. Twofold to where I can serve you as the customer and the public better to where, I'm getting off on a tangent because it came to my mind, but we used to close at 4:30 and you say, well, if we run a flex schedule, why can't we stay open? Because I just got off work. People running down there. Right. Man, I get off at 4. I can't make it in traffic. I need to pay my ticket. I need to go out and get my license back. I need to come file something. Well, let's stay open to 5:15. Let's stay open just that little bit longer. Right. We have a drop box out here, but you need to get this in today. Right. But now with e-filing, it's 24/7. You can file that, on circuit and probate. Right. And so that's the thing there. With traffic, we're just upload a new website to where instead of you coming down to request court date in person, do it online. Right. You see what I'm saying? Pay my ticket online in real time. Right. Those are some of the things. But that technology, once the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's not going back in. Right. And so that COVID actually pushed government. The state has already been working, remotely and home, but it's like come up with a plan. And now that the toothpaste is out of the tube, you ain't going back in because it's like, well, we're coming back in the office. Everybody come back. It's like, what we doing? Right. So, but what I found is that, people enjoy that. You might can't get you a raise, but that little perk, that means a lot. Yeah. You having to drive down here 5 days a week versus driving down here 3 days a week, right. And doing your part. And what, just when you look at the data and what, sick time use is down and things like that, it's just been good. And with the courts, and that's what I want to tell you too. All these different circuit courts, whether it's First Circuit, Second Circuit, they're their own court. We support them and they say, well, we want to do this. Well, we want to do this. Well, how can we help you? Can you publish this docket? Oh, let's do that. Right. I can do that for you on the website. Right. Well, can we get our docket to look like this? Right. That's the things that we go in like, okay, Judge, got it. I have a first call, I have a second call. Well, Third Circuit and Fourth Circuit, they deal with different issues, and so they need their dockets to look a certain way. Right. Probate does a little something different. They have something called a rocket docket, right. Where it's just like, oh, you come in here, or you have an emotion, so I'm coming all the way down here to come in there and say, Judge, I want to continue this. I want to do this, and it's over. Next. Why can't that be done by video? You just saying why can't we do those type things? And so those type of things that we're continually to work on, and those suggestions, and even with the e-filing. Well, why can't we do this? Well, why can't we do this?
Right.
Well, let's look at it.
Nashville is growing, right? Exponentially, 80 people. Probably it might be back to 100 people moving here a day, even during the midst of a pandemic and everything. How does that affect the circuit court clerk?
It affects us because we have to be able to, with more people, more lawsuits, more things are being filed, just to have the infrastructure for the records. And moving from paper to digital, pushing paper is very expensive. But as a keeper of the record, we have to do that. And that just goes back to the thing about the IT and we need to get back this. I mean, just these type of things, the latest standards and technology. We work with ITS and JIS to find the best practices, with servers. Instead of being out here on an island like we were, we need to back our records so we have a backup here, we have one here, we have one there. In case this building blows up, we got records over here. If this building blows up, we got records over here, replicate the data, to have a backup data. And so just to look at that and say, well, we have 50 servers, for example, and these 50 servers, if one goes out, what do we do? Well, let's go in conjunction with JIS. Let's look at this. Well, we got 50 servers. This is what they do. Now, we have people that's still in the IT department, but instead of having 5 employees dedicated to IT, we having our own thing. We're part of the metro government, but it's separate. Kind of like a little silo over here. But after all, it's still part of the main network. And that's better for security reasons, for all that type of thing. So
why is it important that Nashville voters get this right? It's 4 years. I can hear that again, people. It's 4 years, not 8 years, because a lot of these other seats are 8 years. These are 4 years, and 4 years still is not still not a short time. It's still a lot can happen in 4 years. So why is it right that Nashville voters get this right and make sure we have the right candidate in this position?
Well, you have to know, like I said, the 4 things I'm running on: relevant experience. You want someone who knows the job. Somebody has the institutional knowledge and the hands-on experience. Just to know, you just can't come in and pull the chair out from under you and say, we're going to do this. A lot of ideas sound great on paper, but the proof is in the pudding. You got to, what's the problem? Decision-making process, look at it, refine it. Well, that ain't going to fly if you don't know that.
And just a quick question, just for clarity for the listeners and viewers. Do the 2 other candidates have institutional experience for this candidacy, or are they kind of walking into this fresh?
They're walking into it fresh.
Okay.
They have experience. I mean, just listen. I don't have to say it, but just what I hear in the community. I've been here. I'm whether you're a teacher, a social worker, assistant principal, or whatever that is. That's experience in that.
But no experience.
No experience in this court. No.
Okay.
And then the thing is that we want to take that, to the community. Well, yeah, we can take it to the community by supporting the judges that do that, but I can't go in there and champion that. This is, like I told you, and I always give this analogy, kind of like some people not technical, but a screwdriver. You got a Phillips head, you got a flat head, okay? So they're great. Nothing wrong with them. Oh, Phillip head is awesome. You got that screw, and then the Phillip head don't work on the flathead screw, but the flathead sometimes you can find a little groove and get some stuff done just a little bit. Sometimes you get a butter knife in there that can turn that screw. But sometimes you get a piece of furniture like this table or something that the Phillips head won't work. They give you a little tool in there. That's an Allen wrench. Specific. And that's what this clerk role is. Now, you come into this clerk role and say you want to do all these things, that's all great, fine and wonderful, but this is not that role. And so when you come in here and saying these things that sound good to the uninformed, but I always tell people this role, kind of like in everything going good, you don't have any, it's running smoothly, But when the dockets, we have, you think about it, as the keeper of the record, we turn off money, we do, minor settlements and, invest those monies and things like that. If that stuff is out of whack, it's going to be a nightmare.
Right.
a nightmare to where the dockets are not right. 19 judges. My phone rings. Hey, these cases are not right. This is here. Kind of like you've seen the news before. I don't know where. I don't even know what office it was. One of the clerk's office trying to find records and they can't find the records.
Right.
How would you feel if you had something down there, or you calling if you had a divorce or something in 1995 and you trying to go do something, you got to show proof
of the
divorce or whatever, and you call our office and you say, I need to find this office, and you get to run around. Well, we don't have your documents, and that's affecting you. When that document, you need that document to show that's, can't find it, or this and that, or a code or a statute, or if you don't turn over the right money, malfeasance.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You don't turn over what you're supposed to turn over, the state comptroller, they come in on you. And so you, as a clerk, you become responsible for those. So, I mean, you have to know what you're doing, okay?
Wow.
And I always say that line, and I tell people look at it like, oh, you trying to know, but you can't fake this. The old saying, fake it till you make it. You get in here and do it. This is not a role that you want that. And I always give an analogy, kind of like a sports analogy, like a football team. When you think of a football team or the Titans, who you think about? Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, okay? But those are the kind of publicity. You see those are the forefront. So that's your judges and all these type things. But the clerk's office is kind of like the offensive line. If the offensive line
it's not protecting, it's not blocking,
Derrick Henry ain't gonna look. He gonna look like trash, right?
Right.
Yeah. Quarterback ain't gonna throw for 4,000.
That's a hell of an analogy right there.
That's right. So it's like one of those things that, and I was a lineman, so we do the dirty work down here to make things run smoothly. But if we run it smoothly, we look like we.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, and that's one of the things that you want it to run smoothly.
Right.
You want it to run smoothly for the courts and all that. And that's what the mission of the Circuit Court Clerk's office is. To serve the citizens of Nashville and Davidson County courts and legal community through ethical values, personal service, integrity, transparency, and technology. To achieve an unmatched level of efficiency and customer satisfaction. So that's what the role of the clerk is.
Yeah, and it's like customer satisfaction. Yeah, because it seems like you have to also have public relations skills as well.
Yes.
Because you're dealing with judges, attorneys.
Outrate. I mean, all over.
Yeah, and so it seems like, this person in this seat needs to be able to have good communication skills, soft skills, relationship building skills, and also just be open to different ideas and be able to cater
exactly.
to various needs and make sure that literally everybody is working efficiently and effectively to get their job done.
That's right. And
wow,
you come out in little taglines and rah-rah speeches about this. It sounds good. Like I tell you, it sounds good. You ever heard something that sounds good, but in your mind you're like, that sounds too good to be true.
Well, and not only does it sound good, it's different when you know kind of the inner workings of what the actual position takes and what is needed compared to what people may be saying or may not be saying. And so, and this is the whole purpose of this right here, right? Because I know I've learned more than I've ever thought I'd need to know about the circuit court clerk and the position and what happens and actually, like you said, that offensive line analogy just really cleared it up. Like, oh, okay, all right. So maybe if I come and scatter some papers around here, judges can't give me. I need to go down there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like just think about it. Hey, where's my docket? Where's this? And I'm saying, hey, this is what you don't have a clerk in there that know what they're doing, or you come in and say you have a judgment against you, or just, for example, you come in there, you getting garnished on your wages. Like, we, in general sessions, if you have a judgment against you, when they pay that money over to us, we have to turn around and send the checks out or whatever the transactions are, and we're modernizing that to, why can't we do ACH transactions? Why are we, doing checks? To the attorney's office, the collection agencies. When you come pay your fine and fees or your judgment or whatever, say you had an accident, you got sued and American Express for $11,000. and you got that judgment. So you come to our office, or now you just go online and make your payment. And you just come down there, go make your payment online. Well, we take that money, apply it, and send it out.
Wow.
So, both sides of it.
Wow.
So you want to come in there and make that experience easier,
Right.
but you as somebody who's got awarded a judgment, don't you want your money?
Yeah, I want my money.
Yeah. So you come down there and say, hey, I'm looking for my judgment. This defendant said they paid my money. Where's my money? I mean, you got that stuff is, and it's public record.
Wow.
And so you want that to be right. You want it to be right.
That's where all of that happens.
You want that to be right.
Because we see the judgment a lot of times via television, or if you have to go to court from the judge, like, okay, such and such paid, such and such, boom, bam, right? And I've always wondered, like, okay, who's enforcing that? This money is getting to who? Is it like, are they sending each other checks? Who's accountability to that?
Yeah, you come in and say you got a judgment. She's like, okay, for your back rent that you didn't receive, so they start paying it.
Right.
Well, that fees that you paid, we have to route that to you,
Right.
and then guess what happens when they stop paying it? He's like, oh, we ain't got no money, and they call in. So then that's when you come in and say, I want to file reinstated garnishment.
Right.
You filed that with our office, whether the orders of protection. And a lot of that, we talk about the community and things like that. We work with JCAC, Morningstar, that process for orders of protection, which is big in the community, to where, with the night commissioners, when it's e-filing, it was a paper process, manual, to where you come in today, say you had an incident this morning, you come down there, call the police or whatever, they come fill out some paperwork, you make your statement, go before the night commissioner, they sign it, approve it. They submit it to the clerk's office. We issue it, give you a case number, okay? We say you have a complaint number, case number. Well, the sheriff's department comes around, picks those up, and go out and serve them.
Right.
They're trying to find a person to serve them. And so you, as the victim here, or, on this side of order of protection, you're nervous, for one, already because this incident happened. So what's going to happen if they find out that you come, once they get served, that just makes them, come and want to do something else to you. So it's like that process was so slow. That's why people didn't come forward, or I'm scared to come forward.
Right.
But you come forward to this technology now to where they go serve it, they bring it back to our office, we send a letter, oh, you've been served and this and that, your court date is this date.
Right.
And so here you are in that whole time frame to where now you come in, night commissioner, they file it out, they send it to us, we stamp file to get a case number, we route it to the sheriff's department.
Done.
Yeah, they print it off, go serve it, and then we hit a stopgap. It's like, man, all this stuff is great,
right?
But now it's still back to manual. So how can we get around this? Let's work together. So we work with the sheriff's department, all these interdepartment agencies. How can we make this better for the public to where, what does your process look like?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You come to the table with ideas, or let's think outside the box. Let's make this creative solution to where now we find out, well, the sheriff's department, they go to their car, they have their own system. They served you.
Right.
We're waiting to get that back in the clerk's office. But guess what they do? They go back to the car on their computer and do a return. We weren't getting that return. That was for their system. They bring the paper back to us. And guess what we got to do? Manual. So here's this stack of papers that we got to come in, do a return. You might get to it. You see what I'm saying? Oh, but we closed today, weekend.
Right.
So you got served Friday. They turn it in. You got served on Friday. They might not bring that to us till Monday. That's a whole weekend. That's Monday. So now, but when they go back to their car and put that in, we have a connection to where we're polling the system every couple minutes to where when they do it electronically, it comes in. Those type of things I'm talking about with statutes and laws to where, well, can this be an electronic record? When you talk about how can we change that? Well, yeah, we can, hey, can we just look at Metro Legal? Is this piece of paper with this signature, can we do that in a digital format? Is that legal? I mean, those are the type of things that you don't see, but you come in, file this, now we have instant notification. There's some more things that I want to bring to the table as far as that, to where the notification will go out instead of us sending a letter, get that notification, hey, they've been served, so you're aware. I think it saves some lives.
Yeah, and I guess you don't really know how the process is affecting you until you have to be a part of it and in it, whether that's trying to get something or trying to submit something, and you're like, man, why come I can't just do this online and now you can do a lot of these things. Before I get you up out of here, I gotta ask this question because I'm just not sure. And I think in one of the forums I seen you at, maybe broach you and the other candidates about this, but I'm not sure how this affects like what y'all do in y'all lane about equity and about discrimination and those things. So again, people see court. It's like, oh, okay, well, are there disparities seen in this, circuit court clerk as well compared to all of the other, as we see criminal courts and judicial courts? But again, y'all lane is a little different. So is that something that is?
It's a little different, but
is it something that exists, be addressed, or what does that even look like?
Yeah, well, you got two sides to the equation.
Right.
Are you talking about to the public, or are you talking about the equity and diversity internally in the organization? And see,
right.
it's a twofold when you think about it. So, equity, you throw out a word of equity. Well, what is equity?
Right.
Tell me about it. You throw out these isms and these words, but that balance of, as the clerk, I serve all people. You see what I'm saying? These services, you say, well, it's just for these set of people. No, it's not for these set of people. It's for everybody. I've on the trail, people say, well, are you Republican, are you Democrat, or I'm a public servant.
Right.
And that's one of those misnomers there. But then when you look at the makeup of our organization here that I've been a part of as a first person of color to serve in these roles, been instrumental in promoting others into these team lead roles and things like that. Just that change, because the office looks different from when I started in '97. Total different. And I've been a part of that change. So when people's like, well, what changes are you going to bring in? Well, I've been grinding. I've been bringing these changes. And even the current circuit court clerk will tell you, a lot of the ideas and things that have transpired in the clerk's office over the last few years have been ideas that I've, just not me, because we're a team,
right.
But you can hear me now.
Right.
I come to you and say, well, what about doing this?
Right.
We'll get to it, but if I come to the table now, it's like, listen, what about this? You might say, well, let's try it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I wasn't been told nothing be the failure but a try.
Right.
And so some of these ideas that I've seen implemented and seen successful, but I still got more work to do. So that diversity, that change, I've been about that change, and you look at the makeup as like I said, that chief deputy, and there's just management. So there with the diversity, inclusion, I mean, you think about what we need to do, an audit. We're audited all the time. We're public record. Audited again, you know what I'm saying, every year. And so internal auditors, we have an outside auditor come in. So those things that you just throw out there that sound good, like I said, I mean, that's what we're about. I mean, it's a public office, but just looking at the diversity, inclusion, always looking at ways to educate, our people. And I tell people now, when I interview people for jobs, we have a diverse workforce. Right. Leave whether it's religion or all this, leave that at the door. Come in, do a job, we serve the public. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. Just some of the stuff I've seen over, be respectful of other people, just whether they're elderly, whether they're young. You just look at the class and you're just like, well, baby boomers or millennials or these terms, it's all different, and the workforce is changing. But as the product there that we serve, you want to educate them, educate everybody, just so that you're mutually aware of what's going on around you. So when you talk about that equity and diversity, I mean, that's been the goal from day one, and that's been there. Not say it's been always perfect, but the makeup of the organization, you want it to represent the constituents that you serve. Right. And so, that's the goal of mine, to always look at that, to make the office more diverse in ways, just all around. I
want to wrap it up and give you the last word to wrap it up too. One, I've learned, again, a lot, and I'm pretty sure our viewers and listeners have learned, and I think this will help voters, right? Figure out like, oh, okay, so this is what happens. This is what I need to be looking for when I'm listening to these candidates speak. But again, 20 plus years of experience in that organization, what more could one want, right? Or what more information could one get this information from without having to physically go down to the, the clerk office in the secret circuit court clerk office and figure out in a different type of way. So I wanna give you the last word as far as is anything that we didn't touch on talk about or want to bring up for, early voting is already happening through the 28th of April, then voting day is May 3rd, that you want to hit on, and then how can people support you and find out information if they want to get in contact with you?
Yeah, voting is important, and early voting started April 13th. It goes to April 28th. Election day is May 3rd, and out looking at the polls, the numbers, started at the Richard Fulton Complex down there, and it's been kind of low numbers coming in and just low turnout. And so I just want to encourage people to get out and vote and try to have a voters rally type thing to be informed. Meet these candidates. As I said, they run every 8 years. The clerk runs every 4 years. So I always tell people, do your research, and just make an informed decision. I want your vote, but do your research and pick the candidate that you see that's best for you. But that goes with explaining that, But as far as me, like I told you, relevant experience, hands-on, institutional knowledge. You want someone who knows the job. Service. That's the lifeblood of this organization. That's what we do. I work for you. I serve you. Okay. Integrity. You want somebody who's honest, trustworthy, and reliable.
Right.
And innovation. Continually to utilize this technology to make the office more effective and efficient. For who? Everybody involved. The public, the courts, and the legal community. That's what we do. And I'm always looking at ways, always open for feedback, to ways to improve that. So, nothing against the other candidates. That's why I tell you, do your research. And I always say it's a night and day difference.
Right.
When you compare what's going on, and like I told you about the screwdriver analogy, nothing against them. I hear they do great work in the community. What those are, but this is not the right medium for that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, there are different roles that you can still champion that and get those out of those things. But that's what I'm running on, those things. And as far as the experience and service and knowing that, that's why I say it's daytime. It's a new day.
It's a new day.
It's a long journey. It's daytime. I put in my time.
Right.
This is not something I just decided to do.
Right.
And I say, ooh, this guy's not running. This is an open seat.
Right.
And you look at it, it's like, oh, let me read up on this and learn about this. I can do this.
Right.
Sounds good. For the uninformed, yeah, it sounds good, but you want someone who knows the job. You want someone, that has that integrity and knows the system. And you got to know where you've been to know where you're going.
Right.
And I've been a part of that. And I've been the element and the agent to bring these changes to the organization. So my website is josephpday.com. Social media, Ed Day for Circuit on Instagram. I actually have a YouTube channel as well, Joseph P. Day for Circuit Court Clerk, Joseph P. Day for Circuit Court Clerk on Facebook, and we have a TikTok as well. Donations, trying to get the word out. Tell them to vote day all the way. Vote day in May. It's almost May, all these little catchwords. Right. But when you look at the whole thing of what the clerk office and what the role of the clerk is, you want someone who knows the job, and I have that experience. So whether you want to send a donation, josephpday.com, click the donate link, or if you want to join Team Day, get the word out as far as, come in, work a poll, volunteer. I would love to have you on Team Day.
Well, I appreciate it, Joseph. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this breakdown. This is why I'm here. I'm exploring the humanities of community and figuring out, kind of things that I might not know about. But if I don't know, I know it's probably other community members that don't know as well, especially in this vital time when it's elections and people just need to be informed and to be able to, not give you just 30 seconds or 45 seconds or a minute to answer loaded, very heavy, important questions. I'm glad that you was able to, give me some of your time and really break down what happens in the clerk's office and what you plan to do, what you have already done, been a part of, and what Nashville could possibly look forward to in the next 4 years, and seeing how you can best serve us and judges and the legal community, so things can be efficient and effective if we need those services. And so thank you. I appreciate your time again, and Good luck.
I appreciate you, and thank you so much. As I always say, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And you've given me the platform to talk about it, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate you and what you're doing with the Deep Dish Conversations,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
continue to spread the word. Thank
know,
you so much.
You are a Cobra, but hey, I have no problem with that.
I appreciate that. So,
All right, man. Until next time. Appreciate it.
thank you so much.